Hi, and welcome to Cat Run Figures. I'm your host, Caitlin, and today we are going to be reviewing Rose Issue 1 from Image Comics. So, this is the brand new fantasy, magic, adventure type story from Image Comics, and this is from Meredith Finch. So, first off, before we get into the comic, it has an amazing variant cover by David Finch, Meredith's husband, so check that out if you haven't already. I thought it was amazing. But getting right on into the issue, we get to see that in this world there are guardians and cats. And the idea is that these just amazing, majestic creatures work together with these guardians who are born with certain powers. And the idea is they will go through and they will protect kingdoms throughout. Well, as time progressed, the cats began to die off and to disappear. And when that happened, the guardians had no one to really back them up. So, as the magic of the guardians and the cats began to dwindle, a dark power came to rise up against the king and his men of the people, just the people and the regime that was currently in effect. So, unfortunately, our noble king and his guardians lost without the cats and their magic. And darkness prevailed over this kingdom. So, moving on, this has been years past, but there are cleansings that happen of the local villages where anyone who is born with magic, or at least the semblance that they might develop into being a guardian at some point, or that they could potentially become a guardian, they're killed. So parents, if they're smart, they do everything they can to try to hide this. So as we see right here, we see a mother trying to, I believe, color her child's hair. And it looks like the kid's hair is just sparkling. And then they're burning down villages of anywhere where a potential guardian has been found. I mean, it's a pretty rough story. So continuing on, 10 years after the events, we get to see Rose, and it's her birthday. So Rose is given, of course, a rose from her mother and a necklace. And these, in some way, are able to hide her magic abilities and the fact that she does carry the chances of being a guardian. Her mother does everything she can in her power to protect Rose. So, of course, the story starts off, her mother is warning her that she is in danger. Any sort of magic is dangerous. And Rose, being, an innocent, I believe, teenage girl at this point, she runs off to the woods and she's trying to use her magic. She's trying to be one with the elements around her, which is really cool, until she realizes that she's really hungry. So she has to get up and she's going back to the village and talking to herself about how her mother worries for nothing. Nothing's going to happen to them. Nothing bad's ever going to happen. And the cleansings have been so many years ago, until she gets home and she realizes that her village is on fire. So she rushes to her home just to find that her mother has been attacked. When she goes to reach for the doorknob, her hand gets burned. That's something to remember from later on. But her mother, with her dying breath, she's telling her to run. She's telling her to get away from this place because the king's men are near. They're coming. They're coming, and she doesn't want them to find her. So Rose, in all of her pain and anguish, she cries out, and she cries on the very rose that her mother gave her. And in that moment, you get to see a cat's eyes open, which is kind of awesome right there. I love that panel right there. But we get to see a cat's eyes open. So continuing on, we get to actually see the new ruler in power, and an elderly woman is discussing the plights of the people, how they're believing that a plague might be soon upon them. There's starvation, there's neglect, just children are dying in the streets, there's sickness throughout. She's begging for better conditions in the cities. And the ruler is listening to her until this guy shows up. So, first off, he doesn't really care what happens to anyone. He's actually the individual who is leading all the cleansing packs going through, and he thinks that suffering. The weak are going to die and the strong will survive. And that's the way he wants it to be. So, continuing on, we get to see that the dark ruler kind of shoos the elderly woman, saying that he will definitely consider what she had to say. So, as soon as she leaves the room, he informs the individuals left in the room that Madame Grey, aka the elderly woman that came in discussing all the issues of the city, he said that her complaints are now boring him and he would like her to be killed. So, moving on, when you open up the panel, you actually find out that it's not actually a king in power, it's a queen, and she is a pretty much almost completely naked woman with a half-shaved head. She has an entire, I'm not sure if they're technically a harem for her, or I'm not sure if they're sex slaves or a harem or what, but it looks like a bunch of either naked or half-dressed individuals all chained to her bed. So, just a regular night for her, I guess.
Typical Tuesday.
So, continuing on, we get to find out that this man's name is Dante, which, fun little insert there. But continuing on, she doesn't accept that he says that there were no rebels in the town that he just burned down, the village he just burned down. She said that he let them escape. That's failure. She doesn't accept failure. So we also find out that this dark queen has a little bit of magic herself, and she's actually able to cause Dante to suffer. And she is telling him to go back out and to find the individual in the kingdom who is using magic. They need to be dealt with. And if he fails her again, well, he knows what's going to happen. So she shoos him off. And we get to find a little bit more about this Dark Queen. She's kind of fucked up because she has the king, or what once was the king, aka her father, apparently, chained up in another room, at least his skeleton. So she's had him chained up for the last 10 years, and he's dead, but she's still telling him how he has failed and how she, Drusilla Firstborn, now rules the kingdom. Yes, her name is Drusilla. So, continuing on, she's just talking about the fact that she is going to snuff out any magic within this kingdom. So, going on through, we get to see Rose again, and she's just dealt with the fact that she's lost her entire village and her mother. So this is a pretty rough day for her, and it's her birthday, so worst birthday ever. So she's trying to find some way to escape until she runs into a man. Apparently there are a bunch of men, and they think she might be a spy. So one of them says he knows how to make spies talk, and she threatens him that if she tries to lay a hand on her, he'll die. Of course, we get the whole, like, oh, she's a feisty one moment until he gets bitch slapped with a cane. And it's by this old lady. And she tells Rose to get up, that no one there is going to harm her. So we get to see Rose with these individuals. We find out that they're actually the rebels that the Kingsmen were in fact looking for. They heal up Rose's hand some, and they discuss the fact that there were no other survivors in the village, and it's dark times. They weren't always rebels. They were once, like she is now, survivors of a burnt town, of a destroyed village. So as we end off this comic, we get to see at the very end of it Drusilla, and she's walking into a darkened chamber where she's bringing out her wraiths and telling them to go out and find the magic source and bring it to her. So she also tells the wraiths to deal with Dante if they come across him. So something kind of interesting, if you look at the wraiths, each of them has a cat form behind them. So I think these are actually the guardians from way back when. I think she's either killed them and turned them into some kind of weird zombies that do all of her bidding, or she just controls them with her magical powers. But it's kind of interesting to see that, because they do look a lot like the Guardians, and those are definitely cat forms behind them. So that would definitely be something cool to get answered for later on in the series. So yeah, I gotta tell you, I really enjoyed this first issue. This was definitely something I was really excited to pick up ever since I saw it on the cover of a previews catalog months and months ago. I really liked the art throughout. The coloring was really well done. I'm definitely really, really sad that Reborn is ending, so I'm really hoping that Rose will be what I need to kind of filter in my gaping hole that Reborn is leaving behind. But yeah, I really liked this for a first issue, and I'm definitely going to be keeping it on my pull list moving forward. So give me a like if you like this review, comment below and tell me whether or not you picked up Rose, and if you enjoyed it as much as I did. Subscribe to my channel for more comic book content, or check out any of my older videos I have up for offer here on Cat Run Figures. And until next time, I'm your host, Caitlin. Bye.